and make sure that everything is taping like it should be. Because we will rerun your show again on Sunday. That's the
Great.
thing about it. We run the show twice a week. So we are live now. Here we are live on IndieRockRadio.com. We are on the show Indie Scene with Bling and Junior. And Bling and Junior are not available to be with us tonight, but we are live with John. I will be taking over the helm for this week, and then we will be back to normal next week, next Thursday. And this week we have with us an indie artist, Helen Count. So we would like you to leave your comments. We will post your comments as you so everybody can see them as we get receive them. So as we go live, we ask you to be patient and loving
Mhm.
with us, as this is my I haven't used StreamYard in quite a while, so but it's good because I am going to be doing another live broadcast in a couple of weeks with another band, which is going to be on my show, which runs Fridays. um,
Right.
so Helen, it's nice of you to join us today, and welcome to Indie Scene.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and we just like you to explain a bit about yourself to us, the viewers here.
Sure, sure. Well, I'm an indie singer songwriter. I'm based in Madison, Wisconsin, and I've been writing songs for a real long time. I started getting songs out on streaming platforms starting kind of mid last year. And so Shaky Ground that I submitted to you is my third single that I've released, and I'm in the process of working on my fourth one. So it's been pretty lucrative time in the last year or so for me.
And you've been releasing singles.
I've been releasing singles. Yes, yes. I work with a production company in New York City. So kind of each song is sort of an individual project. They're really kind of quite different projects. So if I get to the point where I would have eight put together and I thought they could, go together in a single album, maybe I would do that. But I don't. I guess I'm impatient, and I'd rather get it out if it's a song I think could be enjoyable for people to listen to.
Well, I can tell you, you're not the only one. Um, a lot of bands today are releasing singles rather than albums. I
Right.
guess because with the pandemic that we've gone through too, it's easier for people to write and release a single than it is to go and make a whole album and then have to basically put it together and get it out there. So
Right.
it's like hats off to you for doing that because you're not the only one that's really been releasing singles. I've seen a lot of that lately because of the fact that I'm sure the pandemic has a lot to do with it. Like it's because people don't want to spend a lot of time in the studio, so they basically want to write a single, do it, release it, and move on. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. At least one of my singles last year was pandemic themed, so I definitely wanted to get that out in a timely manner. Thinking, that was we have no idea at the time last year how long that was going to be relevant. So, that probably was a motivating factor as well. But I hear you exactly.
And it's hard. It's like, and when you sent us your single, I listened to it and I said, you know what, this needs to be played. I am the type now that when I look back at all the times that I've been going to these as I call them, big shows with people wanting big money. Like you're going to pay. Do I want to pay $300 to see a good group, or do I want to pay $25 and see a group that I can basically promote
Right.
and make them something? And this came because on April 9th we interviewed a group. 37 years they've been together.
Oh, wow.
They're released. They've just got signed, so they've got an album coming out in July 22nd, I think. But their second single drops next week, and we went to see them and interviewed them. And that's when it hit me and said, you know what? These are people who are hardworking like yourself, and they're just there to push their music. They're not there to make millions of dollars. They're there to push their music, and that's what it's all about. Like, why should I go pay $300 to see a good band when I can pay money to see a an artist like yourself who's indie, who's independent, and making it known to people? Oh, and that's what you're doing. You're not you're not thinking about, oh, I'll get signed tomorrow, and then tell you the truth, the record company's going to own me. So I'm going to
Right.
charge $300, $400, but how much of that $300, $400 am I going to make? You know,
Right.
very
Right.
expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. I think music is that much more significant now. I mean, like you said, those points are completely valid and wonderful for indie artists like myself. But I think maybe the indie artist has a little more connection with just the average listener. We're here for the music. We're here to make a sound. We're here to connect with people. Our music, each of my song has its own message in mind, or I wouldn't have released it. And so it's just a little nugget we try to throw out there in the universe, and I've got some good replies back on it, and that's really just a wonderful thing. And I think it's that much more meaningful now in the world we have to have that type of positivity. It's just that much more special, I think.
So as an indie artist, basically you're promoting yourself. You're doing everything yourself. It's like a lot of us in this world today. We do things ourselves for ourselves to make ourselves known. Do you do you think it's harder now than it was when you first started, or do you think it's easier now?
Well, that's a complicated question. I mean, I'll give a complicated answer. I guess I'll give a simple answer to a complicated question. I think social media allows, I can email anybody pretty much anywhere if I have their email address. So I can communicate with probably any radio station if I really wanted to, if I really tried. Would I want to? Probably not, but I could. On the other hand, that may give you a false sense of, hey, I can just connect with anyone because there's this thing called social media. So it's not as easy as it may seem. So on the one hand, I can connect with wonderful stations like yourself that promote indie people. There are other people out there that really have that drive, which is, just terrific. Um, does the majority of the world feel that way? I don't know. I haven't communicated with them, but it does take some perseverance, which I fortunately have. I think you have to have a little guts to write a song in general, to put it out there, and you got to have some guts to put behind it. I guess I feel that I have that. It's a little sweat equity, I guess.
And because of you being able to promote and produce your own songs, which is what you're doing, and send them to people like us, we received your song, and right away I listened to it and I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. And I know that people are listening to it because I do get emails about that the station has started to receive what we need to receive. So,
Oh, that's
and
great.
because of that, people like yourself are getting recognized. And we know when your song is played because we are hooked up with our Twitter account that every time a song is played, it tells us what's played. So if Shaky Ground plays by Helen Counts, we know it's played, and we're grateful to see that. And I can see exactly how many times in a week it's played,
Oh,
and
that's neat.
it's good because it also gives us the opportunity for you to be recognized. Like I don't say that some big record producers listening, but if enough people are listening from other radio stations, say we have a mainstream radio station listening, maybe they'll say, "Hey, where did you get that from? I want that." And I would say, "Oh well, I can give it to you, but I won't." I'll tell them straight, I won't give it to you, but I will give you the artist's contact, and you can ask them if you can play it
Oh,
because
that's wonderful.
to me it's privacy. You
Right.
own the song, you own the rights. I don't own the rights, and I don't own the rights to play it.
Well, I appreciate that.
And
And
because of
it's
when you
nice your listeners or that you can get that feedback. I mean, that's the advantage of technology. It's a way to connect and to know it's making a connection with your listeners. That's great. I mean, that's your whole goal, right? It's great.
Yeah, our whole goal is to promote people like yourself, to make them known, to show them there's
Wonderful.
people out there who uh, have a passion and have a dream. So why not help you to make that dream come true? You know,
Oh,
if
that's
you
terrific.
had 30 listeners last week listening to your song, but this week you have 400, and then it gives you the motivation to say, hey, I got to write another one. I got to get something else out there so people can know that I mean business. And like I said, if there was ever a time you did come to Canada and play, Bling and I would definitely be there for you because
Oh, that would be wonderful.
we would
Not,
want to support you and show because like it was when we did that when I did my first, like I basically was a cameraman for him for his interviews. When I did that and I saw these two indie bands, basically one who just got signed and one who's not signed, trying to make a living out of this, I said, you know what? I don't need to go and see some big band at $300-400. I'll go and promote my indies, and then I will say to them, look, we need we need people like you. We need you to stand up for yourself and say, look, I'm not charging you $200 for you to come see me, but I want you to support me.
right,
And then by supporting you is by being there for you,
right,
basically having your back when you need us to have your back, and that's exactly what it's
right.
all
We all
about.
need a little of that for sure.
Because I'm sure, how long have you been in doing this now?
Well, I've been writing songs most of my life. I think it really was the pandemic. A lot of the pandemic has changed. A lot of us changed our priorities, and I thought, you know, I should record these because when I record these, when I get them out on radio, if I get them out on streaming or whatever way you have to on YouTube, if people don't have other means, um, people listen. And it's amazing to think thousands of people have listened to an idea that just came to you. I have a writing room in my basement, and sometimes I think, my goodness, I had an idea standing in my basement with a guitar that now is really hopefully helping people connect and knowing that somebody may have had the same feeling they had at some point and they wrote a song about it, and maybe listening to that song for them is helpful, or it just brings them some joy to put it on. And that's pretty awesome.
So Shaky Ground basically is a song about what we're going through right now.
It is, I wrote it a while ago, but I made some adjustments to it recently, so it's kind of an old and new song, which, sometimes happens, not very often, but, and exactly, that was the title, Shaky Ground, and, it has a lot of emotional shakiness to it in a world that's shaky, so what a good time to bring it out. A lot of vulnerability, emotional aspects of it where we can connect with people or we don't connect, and um, there's a lot of imagery in the song because I'm a very visual. I write a lot of visual lyrics, and then I'm always into the harmony part. I think that adds a little power, if you will, to a song. Maybe some added connectivity, right, to it. So that's kind of my thing in all
Because
my
you can
songs.
see when I first heard it, I listened to it a couple times and I said, man, I said this is it's like you were writing a song for the world to open their eyes to, and basically
I
that's what it.
appreciate that.
And I know because this pandemic, because I work for, you could say I work in a place that
Hmm.
um, didn't close during the pandemic. Because if we closed, basically I don't know what they would have done if they would. They would have bounced back, of course, because I work for Tim Hortons. So because working for them when the pandemic hit for the first time in March of 2020, it was very hard for me for the fact that I had 30 employees and I went down to seven. I had to lay 23 off because there just was not. It was
Yeah.
basically we had to. It's like being on shaky ground. Like you can't have them all there, but we don't have enough business to have them all there anyway because people are
Mm.
not going out. There's restrictions. There's a lot of things you have to follow, and like because of that, when I heard shaky ground, I said, "Oh, this is basically like something about what I went through for a long period of time. It was a year and a half before we hired people back because of all of this, what was going on, you know.
Mm.
And it was very shaky ground because a lot of people didn't know if we were ever going to get over it.
Right.
We still
Right.
don't know if we're going to get over it.
Right. Right. I've thought about things a little bit more. I think with the meaning of music a little bit more during the pandemic, even so. And I think we can get by talking and singing about lyrics about difficult feelings and putting them into a song. And I think it helps me, and I think it probably helps many people, get through some of those feelings. Like it's okay to listen to a song that's called Shaky Ground. Maybe I'll put it on a playlist, but maybe I'm not so sad when I listen to it, even though it is about some intense topics. And I think it's a way to get by. Music has always been that way, but I think now it's something, in my opinion, that's even more important.
Like personally, to me, music, I tell people, music to me is like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You use it as therapy to help you get over whatever you may be in, maybe in a time of
Right,
sadness, a time of happiness, time of mourn, or whatever. Whatever you is, you. I use music as a therapy, as a way to get through whatever I'm going through that is really, really tough. You know,
right.
and being to run a radio station during this pandemic, I didn't know. I came on board with Bling in November of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
He approached me and asked me to do a station, do a show, and I said to him, "Well, I will do a show for your radio station, but on my basically on my terms, on my music. I want to play my music that I want people to hear." And he said he basically said, "Let's do it." And I told him it has to be an all Christian rock
Mm.
station with Christian artists, Christian songs, clean. And it was like you could say it's like a song when you write it. It's a pilot. We don't know what's
Right,
going to happen. We don't know who's going to listen.
right.
My show took off like a rocket because people are listening and people love what they hear, and that's what I want to do with people like you. I want to take
Mm.
those indie artists that put their heart, soul, mind. They basically they breathe, they live, and the music. And I want people to say, "Hey, if that artist ever came to my town, I want to go."
Mhm.
And that's what it's all about: is making you recognized for what you're doing because it's not easy to write.
Right, right. Well, I appreciate that very much. That's
It's not
exactly
easy
what
to
it's
write.
all
It's
about.
not easy to do the music, and it's definitely not easy to put something out.
That's true, right? You could under or overproduce something, and then you could miss the whole message. Could be minimized. So it's definitely an art for sure. Yeah, I have help with the productions of my songs. I think it always takes a village to come up with your best. Like a radio station, you have multiple people working there probably, and it really takes a village. I think if you let people in and get input, listeners listening to it and feedback, I think it leads to improvement for yourself. And I am a firm believer that music is therapy. I agree with you there. And probably writing the song is therapy, so in
and,
itself.
and that's what we want. We want
Right,
people to realize there is a therapy out there that can help them
right,
because
especially now.
Yeah, especially what we're going through. Because, to release something during this period, you kind of say, well, people are fed up of hearing about it because of it's been so long, it doesn't seem to be going away, or just when you think, oh, things are starting to get better, it's not.
Right.
I know, I look at every day and I say, I gotta follow my government leaders basically and listen to what they have to say and tell me what to do. You know, it wasn't easy because I don't know how bad it got down for you down in the states, but here we got to the point where we had to have a paper if we went out after 11 o'clock at night
Wow.
to travel. Like you could not just go out and do what you want. You had to have a paper saying you're going to work.
Wow.
That's hard because
Wow.
I was never pulled over. It was funny because I said I would get up, get ready for work, and I'm leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning because I start early, and I'd go to work. And I have my paper in my bag at all times with my ID in case they ask. You know, I did pass a lot of cops because they were always at the same spot every day. They never stopped me once or asked me where I was going or not
Hmm.
because a lot of the time they knew where I was going because
Okay.
they had come to get coffee from where I worked. So it was funny, but I had heard some horror stories like, oh, I got stopped today. Oh, I was. Well, what were you doing out at 1 o'clock in the morning? You did. If you didn't work, oh, I got a fine. Well, you know, it's your own fault. We have these restrictions in order to make life better. If we
Right.
don't follow them, then we can't make things better. And the same thing with you. You have a way that you want to write your music. You have a way you want to produce your music, and you have a way you want to put it out there. If
Right.
somebody comes along and says to you, "Oh, I don't like that sound. I want some rap in there, or I want some dance, like some pop," then it's not your song anymore
Right. That's very true. That's a good analogy. That would be
because
very
you write what
frustrating.
you write what people want to hear,
Hmm.
and I can tell you that. And to bring out like you said, it's your third single, but it's the first one that we received. But we have the other ones. I was able to find other songs that you had
Oh, great.
put
Oh,
out there,
appreciate that.
and I said, man. I said, of all the songs, Shaky Ground is the best one to start with because
Hmm.
you took something that was personal to you and said, "Hey, we got to talk about this. We got
That's
to."
true.
So, right in the here and now, you're still continuing to write and to do songs as we speak, basically.
Right. Right. I'm working on my fourth single, and I'm kind of a lot of musicians. We tend to be a little bit. We get a little brooding on our thoughts sometimes, and so this fourth single is going to be a happy song, and it's got happy imagery, and I think it's going to be good timing, given the duration of everything we've been through, to have something that's in that kind of ballpark, and just something catchy. So we're just in early production days. I'm really excited for it, and I guess I'm on a little bit of a roll. So why stop now, right?
Yeah. So when do you expect to get this out though?
Usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Everything's a little bit slower with with the pandemic. It's interesting when I try to get like a vocal recording, for example, at a local studio here in Madison's not a super huge city. It takes a while to get in. I think actually more musicians are booking to record things. It's kind of interesting. When I did my first song, I probably got in 2 weeks, and now the wait is. I probably should book it now before we've even completed early production. I think a lot of people are looking toward music and getting those ideas and saying, "Hey, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm doing it."
So we're looking at probably roughly end of July or early August. We'll have a new single from Helen
Yeah,
Count.
yeah, yeah. I mean, realistically, and getting it all and mastered, it's all a process. And always tend to be a little perfectionistic with your baby, which is the song. So you want to make it as good as possible, and that always takes a little time, a little feedback and work, and so you want to have the best product.
Are you able to do shows though now, or are you just concentrating on writing?
Right now I'm working on production and song development and compiling them and getting it out. Like you said, it's been intermittent with the communities and what we can do with mandates, with no mandates, and so it's been a little limited that way. I'm kind of waiting to see where, as you know, we're in a little bit of a transition time, what's going to happen now, to see, what happens before I commit to something consistent. But I was gonna call up a friend of mine and see what I could do with their venue. So we'll have to see. Like you, I'm just giving it a little bit of time to make sure it can happen because I don't like to commit to something and not be able to make it happen.
Yeah, because it all depends on the place you want to play too. Like if they're
Correct.
open
Right.
to people coming in live or what they want to do to make
Right.
the things work. Like, because a lot of the shows that I've seen, like, I see a lot of groups are doing a lot of virtual stuff because they don't know when they'll ever get back into that
Right.
venue. Because it's nice to get the venue, it's nice to get the booking, but then if the people don't come out, it kind
Right.
of brings you down a bit. Because you say, was there something I missed here?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the way the people are feeling, they're still scared to go out there.
I know that's a little bit of a mixed bag. I remember in my younger days, you'd you have your old recording devices that are so archaic compared to now, but you'd always hear someone coughing or sneezing in the background if you played long enough to an audience. And now I just fear that would just create anxiety in the audience to have that happen. And I really don't want that to be the focus. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
it used to be kind of humorous if someone started, having a sneezing attack and had to leave the room, because they were interrupting. But now I think people would, be unsettled by it. It's,
yeah, it kind of gets their back up, you could say, and they kind of look around.
right.
Are you okay? And
Hmm.
the first thing that comes out of their mouth right away is, well, do you have
Right.
COVID? Do you have COVID?
Right. Yeah.
Just
And
because
almost every
sneeze,
old recording, there's some cough in the background if it was live, for sure. It's just what you get when you get a group of people, and it's totally changed now. So doing it this way, getting it out on platforms this way, people can listen to it in their own. Even if they are home with COVID, they could listen to it, and maybe it could help them. And that's just something that it means that much more. The song means that much more to me in that situation, and there's just not a lot to say other than that. It's that meaningful.
yeah, and it means more to you because you've written it basically how you want it to be written. You've arranged it and produced it the way you want it to be produced. You
Hmm.
don't have somebody coming in and telling you what to do or
Right.
how to live. And
Mhm.
that's how it should be. We shouldn't
Right.
be scared to listen to what we want to listen to, and we shouldn't be
Right.
afraid to do what we want to do.
Right, right. I think that's where there's a little hesitation for me there with the venue, but well, we'll just have to see. I've got plenty of time. I've got ideas. I'm working on this new project. I'll have to share it with you all when it's done, and I'm excited about it. I do think my first song was more mellow, and as I've gone on, the songs have become more up tempo, and I think people appreciate the up tempo songs. There's a time and a place for a softer song, no doubt. But I just think having things more positive, trying to have an outlet, for those tough days. If you can turn it on the radio, there's nothing better.
And there never will be anything better if we don't put our, as they would say, put your right foot forward
Right.
and and stand your ground. And that's what
Hmm.
you're doing. You're standing your ground at this point. You're
Hmm.
showing people, and people like yourself, when other people will look back, or when they will say, "Hey, Shaky Ground came out at this time, and I would at that time I was writing stuff myself, but I didn't put it out because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to go about because they're scared. Because you have the people there that are basically out for the money only. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
going to put my single out. It's going to make me millions. It can make me a millionaire. But that's not what it's all about. You have to get recognized first, and that's what you need. That's what you're doing. He's
Right.
getting recognized, and then once the recognition comes, then everything else seems to fall in place. The venues start to say, "Oh, we heard a song by such and such. Oh, maybe we should reach out to their PR person and see if they're
Mm.
open to opening for so and so, or maybe doing a show for us. Have a bunch of bands come together and do an indie show, say, and that's what it's all about. And that's
Right.
why, because to me, all your way of getting things out there is yourself. You have nobody behind you pushing.
True. True, and nobody told me go, in your space and write a song about the pandemic or write about, shaky ground. I mean, it just comes out, and then you have to believe in it, and then you have to put it together, and then you have to give it a little oomph behind it to get it to people like you. And it is a process that it is daunting at times, and you made a great point. You really have to really push, and that's it's very valid. But you don't want to have people give up hope. I mean, if they believe in their song, if they write it for the right reasons, which I've done, then it really it doesn't take as much effort to promote something that is so it's like a precious to you. If it were forced upon me, that would be it's sort of then it's like homework. But this is something that means something to me. So right, so.
If somebody comes along, like you have say a producer other than yourself behind you, and they don't like the way it sounds, and they start to say, "Well, change this to this, or maybe you should do this
Mhm.
like this," then to me it loses a bit of value because now it's not yours anymore. Someone's got their hands in there, and they're saying, "Hey, you will
Right.
do what I say you do," and
Yeah, that would bother me for sure. Yeah.
because
Mhm.
we had it's a month ago we had a band on. Their name is Old Soul, and
Mhm.
I didn't know too much about them other than reaching out to reaching out to the drummer of the band because I was speaking with one of my high school friends, and we went to high school together. The drummer's mother and I went to high school together, and she kept saying to me, "My son has a band." Well, I said, "I own a radio station. Why has he not sent me something or ask him to get in contact with me? Ask him to send me something." So we interviewed them, and they're doing pretty good. It's
Right.
hard. It's
Hmm.
pretty hard here in Montreal. Like they've had shows, but they're not making millions of dollars. Like I said, I think they charge like $5 or $10 to get into the show. You
Okay.
know, and if you got three bands on that night, which in the most case they are playing with three people, three groups are playing the same night. There's not a lot of money coming down to
Hmm.
the wire. And so they sent it to me, and I said, and I've been communicating with her back and forth. I just haven't had the time to be able to um, do what I need to do to get it out there
Hmm.
because I haven't been able to see the band yet. Because of the fact that things happened. Like I had a dear friend of mine. He's 29 years this year. I've known him. He um, it's a week now since he left us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He went. He basically passed on away. So I was able to. I have the funeral next week, which is going to be a little bit hard because it's been 29 years. Like, and I look at the road that he traveled, and it was very hard
Mm.
because of the fact that he was diagnosed with melanoma,
Oh.
which basically they gave him the treatments for it, and he's first two treatments he had was good. Then he's went for they said after that treatment we started another treatment. So the other treatment they started was at home. So he started that treatment at home, doing what he had to do and taking the medication that they gave him, and his body basically was not accepting of it, kind of, because
Mm.
he was sick, he was sleeping, and then he went into the hospital and they gave him some more treatments, but they weren't able
No.
to stop it. So instead of stopping it, it spread.
Oh,
So and he succumbed to his disease. But I look and I that's why I say music is a therapy, because I can turn to music and say, look, I'm not the only one in this world suffering from this pandemic. There's people out there that are worse off than me, and it's not nice to see that they suffer,
right.
but they suffered whatever they suffered.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's very true. I mean, everything that is very true.
But we will definitely push forward, as I said.
Right.
Some of
That's
us,
all we can do, right?
yeah, and we are definitely, like I said, I will keep pushing your music as you send it to us. When you ask us to play it, we play it, because there's people like you who basically are looking for a way for your music and your voice to be heard. It's not hard. It just takes, I think, a lot of patience.
It does. It definitely does.
And
And
I'm sure you have a day job too, where you
right.
basically have to work during the day, and you have to basically run the show the way it is.
Right. Well, that's why it's so nice when stations like yours respond to me. I mean, it just makes my day. It makes my whole week, really. And um, it's just a nice way to connect even more beyond, just writing the song. And again, that's really the whole point. And I'm just so glad that you're pleased with it and that your listeners like the song. And that just really makes my night for sure.
Because it makes you feel that you're not just writing for nothing. It's not nice to think I'm doing something, and I'm putting my love and my heart and my soul into this, and there's nobody listening, and it's not nice to have that. And that's why, like I said, come to supporting indie bands and independent bands. It's all what my future is. That I will have to make them feel wanted, because they're not going to make it because there's some big show out there, playing on the same night they're playing. Well, you know what? Skip the big show. Then people have been making money for 20, 30, 40 years of what they've been charging. When they first started off, they may have been charging $10, $15 like you would charge, and now they're making three, four, five, 600, maybe even thousands. If you want a VIP, of course, then you got to go into the thousands. Like I remember there was a couple of shows that I saw to get VIPs for them. It would have cost about $7,000 just to get the VIP and the ticket.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
And and if you have and they only sell a certain amount of VIPs and that for that, and it usually is because of when we look at it is because they know how to basically play the field. When we
Right.
look at it is because and they know how to get the money. Basically play the field. And that's what it's all about. And I know people like yourself, you're going to write a song, it's going to be from the heart. And that's what it's all about. And I know people like yourself, because a lot of people write a song. A lot of people say today that, we write a song, yeah, but is it from your heart? Is it from your heart and soul, or is it from your record producer who wants to make money? Or your manager who wants a few coins into your pocket.
Right.
And so you've been doing this for how long, roughly? How long
Um,
have you been writing?
I've been writing songs as long as I can remember. It's interesting. I've been writing songs as long as I can remember. Hold on. There's a little bit of feedback. One second. Just plug in my headphones here. Hold on. There's a little bit of feedback. One second. Just plug in my headphones here.
Okay.
There. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, it's just been a very long time.
Yep. I can
Uh,
hear.
okay.
So yeah, so you've been writing since you were young enough to
Right.
basically get something out there for us. You know,
Right.
imagine if you were to take all them songs that you've written as, say, if you started as a teenager, you wrote 10, 15 songs.
Hmm. Right. Right.
And
To be relevant, right? But you could use, the music from an old song and just change up the lyrics. There's always something that you can keep in your wheelhouse and maybe pull out, right?
well, I was a musician myself. I was in a cover band in my teenage years.
Oh, great.
I, and wasn't very easy to play. I remember the first couple of songs that I wrote, and said, I look back now, and I'd rather keep them under the rug because they weren't the best. And it basically was, I guess it was my eyes being open to what the world was really all about in them days.
Hmm.
If I was to release them songs now,
Right.
I think people would say, "What in the heck is this guy doing? He's crazy." And it is true because they weren't very, very nice songs.
Right. But we all go through our phases, don't we? I mean, and then if you write it in music, it's going to come out.
It was funny because when I look back and I even because I still have the song written on paper, and I still look back on it sometimes and say, "Oh man, what was I thinking when I wrote this?" Like we were basically a young band trying to make it as in a club, playing clubs, playing contests. We went to Battle of the Bands. We never made it anywhere. I have my singer to thank for that because he did the same song in one set. You were given a set of 8 songs to do. You could do, and he did the same song because he didn't like the sound. He did the same song 3 times in a row.
Oh, I see.
But come the end of the third time, I think the crowd was fed up of hearing "Living After Midnight" by Judas Priest. They just did not want to hear it anymore. We were told by the judges that we didn't come in the bottom. We came in underground. He said
Oh, no.
it was just horrible. He said it
Oh,
was
no.
horrible what you did. And I said, I'm saying to myself, and then I said, we couldn't use the name of our band. We had to change the name of our band for the contest because they didn't like the name of the band. They didn't want Satan's Child playing in a battle of the band. So we had to change it to Rock and Beast. And we never, like, I think after that show with that contest, my eyes opened up and I said, I really don't want to be in with a band like this. So I went and I joined another band, Iron Maiden cover, and they were pretty good. They were well known. We were known. We had newspaper articles written on us. We ended up in some Canadian music magazine, and they talked about us and that. But that's the same thing with yourself. Once you get recognized, people are going to reach out and say, "Oh, we want to interview you and put you in this paper. We want to put you in
Hmm.
this magazine. We want it to be known." And
Right.
then you're going to look back and say, "Hey, that was all my doing. Nobody helped me get there but myself."
Right. It's a
So
good feeling. It's a good feeling.
yeah, because you know that all your hard work is finally paid off.
Right.
Because it's not cheap to rent a studio these days. It's not cheap to get a producer to produce. And if you produce yourself, it's all right. But you still, if you calculate, say it takes you 40 hours to do that song in total after recording it, putting it
Right.
together, doing everything you have to do, and it took you 40 hours, that's 40 hours that you've lost somewhere along the line. But when people hear it,
Mhm.
and you got 400 listeners listening to it, or 800, or the whole world is listening to it,
Mhm.
then you say that 40 hours wasn't time well wasted. It wasn't time wasted. It was time
Right.
well wasted because of the fact that it paid off.
Right, exactly. And you just never know. And I think with putting yourself out there for anything, whether it's music or art or I suppose, anything that you're putting out in the world, you have to have a little bit of faith, a little bit of gumption, and it is time consuming, right? And you just have to see it through. And I'm sure there are projects that probably fall through like anything else. But I'm pretty selective. So when I start a project, I know I'm going to, see it to the end. But you have to be pretty selective, I think, because it takes a lot of time, like you said.
And the reason it takes so much time is because you're putting so much into it. And the
Well,
reason you're
I like
putting so
to think.
much, well, I think you are putting a lot of time into it because, it doesn't, it's not like Shaky Ground, for example, is not something you just wrote yesterday and started and released today. It's something that takes months and months and months of work and going over and reevaluating and saying, oh, is this really the lyric I want? Maybe that first lyric that I really thought of fits there, and maybe this one should go at the end instead of it.
Right,
It's a lot of you, like they say, you write the beginning, the middle, and the end, but you
right,
never
right,
know the end outcome until it's out there. And then then we may even sit back then and say, oh, maybe I could have done something different. But you won't take it from your single you've just released. You're going to make your next single better because you're going to say, all the things I've learned from this, I'm going
right,
to put it into the next one and I'm going to move up the ladder.
right,
We don't want
right.
to get stuck on the same, like they say, you don't want to get stuck on the same level for too long because
Hmm.
then, like yourself, you probably say, oh, what am I getting myself into? Am I really I'm not enjoying this. If you're not enjoying it, then we shouldn't be doing it, right?
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, I enjoyed playing in cafes when I was younger, and I just love the connection there. And this whole world has changed, and it potentially, if you're interested and you're connected in the right way, as we are tonight, and other ways, you can have a giant cafe of people listening to music, and it's wonderful to get feedback. Um, Directly as you're giving me tonight because that it makes it all the more real. I know it's real. I know it's happening. But when you have the direct feedback, it's like the old cafe days when someone looks up from their book and they're studying and they look up and listen to you and really hear your song. That was how we did it back in the day. And it's done differently, but yet it can be similar if we really want it to be.
How many cafes have you played in, though,
I
roughly?
don't know. I've lived in a lot of different areas over the years. I sang with a friend of mine doing a lot of harmony back in Virginia, where I'm from. And I kind of wish we had been able to stay in the same town after I moved, because once you find someone to sing with, it's really hard to find somebody else. When you have that spark singing with harmony with somebody. So my production company has people that do harmony that I can match with, and it's been wonderful to do that and to be able to still get that connection despite a distance. I mean, you can do a whole single. And the people could be in 4 different states and put it together virtually. They could be in 4 different countries and still come up with one song. And that's pretty, it still amazes me to that. And someone commented once to me that people could do a duet and never have met on uh, on a single. And I thought that's true. I mean, that's a shame because doing a duet in person is really fun, but it's pretty powerful. The way we can do it, the way we can put it together, however you get it out there is the way you have to do it, right?
Well, that's it. And the reason we have to do it that way is because if we don't do it that way, then it may not be the way that we need to be doing it.
Right, right,
Like if we always seem to be listening to, how do you say, you're listening to
right,
that little voice is what you have to listen to, right?
right.
And once we listen to that voice, that's when we can take it to the next level.
Right.
We don't sometimes don't like to
Right.
listen to that little voice.
Hmm.
As I know, I've been down that road too. Like I'll put my show together, say, and then all of a sudden I realize maybe I should change the way I've laid it out and move on a bit. But as we listen to that voice, we get its inspiration,
Exactly.
and that's what you want. I tell you, I'm excited to see the next single and to hear it and to see what you know, because as we will listen to, it, we'll say, "Oh my, this is totally different. This is like it's like night and day," because she's went from being kind of not knowing where you stand with
Hmm.
this single to totally being confident and loving and putting a lot more. Like we have to look at artists. Like I look back at some of the artists that have been out there for a while now. Like for example, one that comes to mind a lot is Melissa Etheridge. I look at her when she first came out and she wrote that first tune.
Hmm.
Like, did she know it was going to be a hit? Did she know it was going to be a sensation? And then I look back at her stuff now, and you can see how she's progressed,
Hmm.
and that's and she'll continue to progress
Right.
because, like you, she's done what like you are doing. She's independently now doing her own music, basically, you could say, because she is. She does virtual concerts, and I don't think she even charges for her virtual concerts. And she'll go, and if
Mm.
she's recording, she'll take you into the studio with her and let her hear how and that's what it's all about. It's like to her, it's I've made my money. I don't need to make it anymore. I'm going
Right.
to teach people the tricks
Right.
on
She's
how I got to be how I was.
right. That doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Because I look at even another Canadian band that comes to mind, right, well, Montreal band, as a matter of fact, is Arcade Fire. I look
Mm.
at them and how they progressed, and I didn't
Right.
know, I didn't know too much about those guys, and I fell in love with their music, of course. I do promote them, only to find out recently that the main singer and guitarist and his wife have left the band.
Mm.
So basically, it was two. Basically, Arcade Fire is a two brother band, so it's only one brother left, you know. But I know
Gotcha.
that, and I didn't really know too much about them until I had heard a couple shows, and then one day I went to this Christmas devotional at church, and who's up there singing was the lead singer, the lead singer, the lead guitarist, and his wife of the band Arcade Fire. They were members of that nomination, and they came and they did a Christmas song, you know.
Oh.
And now where are they? They're in New York.
Mhm.
They live in New York now. But they've typically a band where you look how they evolved over the year, like yourself. You've written three singles. This single is different than your first single, and your fourth single is going to be different than your third single and your first and second, and your album is going to be totally different because at that point you're going to say, "Oh, I know what I got to do," but you'll have to make sure that "Shaky Ground" is on the album because that's the song that people to me that's people need to hear that. People have to
Oh.
listen closely to the lyrics
Mhm.
and
Mm.
put themselves in your shoes
Right.
because it's people think, oh, I I don't know about you, but personally to me, the people that really tick me off the most are the people who say that this is what's going on now is not real. It's all made up.
There's just a lot of disconnect, disagreement, argument. Even even in families we see that, and then that's really was one of the lyrics in one of my songs last year was about families divided, and I put it in the song intentionally for that reason. It was so troublesome to me. Um, that I put it there, and it's what can you do but write a song sometimes or put a song on? It's just you have to settle down your mind, and it's hard to wrap your head around, right? The world sometimes, and you have to sing about it or listen to songs, and for me, it's calms me down if I'm upset by these divisive things, and if it helps other people, that's really wonderful. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, because people don't realize today in this world, we gotta sometimes listen to other people, because
Hmm.
if we don't listen to what people have to say, then we're laughing at somebody, and it's not nice to be making fun or laughing at somebody, because people like yourself, you're not doing it because you're trying to be better than anybody else. You're just trying to show people how the world is. The world is made of, you could say the world is made of very, very hard loving people who don't
That's a good,
understand,
yeah.
and it sometimes divides the family.
That's exactly right, and that's really where I tend to go when I write songs. I tend to go to themes that might be a little more uncomfortable to talk about at the dinner table, but boy, it makes a good fodder for a song. And I mean, you could list song after song after song that could be relevant too. And maybe that's what makes people connect with these types of themes, right? It does for me.
Well, yeah, because you're looking at you're looking at it through the eyes of a songwriter. You're looking at it through the eyes of somebody who wants the world to know how you feel, but you're doing it in a loving way. And you probably, because you're a songwriter and you're a singer and you're a producer, you're doing it in a different way. You're doing it in a way that the whole world can relate, not just yourself. You're doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for the world to say, hey, look, you're not in this alone. I'm going through this just like you're going through it,
Mhm.
but I'm doing it, I'm writing about it and singing about it
Mhm.
so you know how I feel.
That's
And that,
exactly right. You couldn't have said it better.
because it's true, because I look at it and I thought, people don't realize that it's not easy in this world today. But what we're going to do is we are going to take a break. I am going to go ahead. I was able to download Shaky Ground from
Okay,
YouTube, and I want
great.
to play it. I want people who are watching now, if they haven't seen it, we're going to let them know what it's all about. And let them listen to the lyrics. And I would like promote people and ask people, if you like what you hear today, go up and look on YouTube. Like Helen has said to us, she's on many platforms. Download her music and listen to it. Even if you're driving in a car and trying to make it, listen to it and listen closely to the lyrics, because this is one song that when I heard, I had to listen to it a couple times only because I said, man, how could someone write something like this and not be afraid of what my neighbor's going to say, what my people at work are going to say, what my friends are going to say, what my family's going to say? But that's basically what it is. So we are going to go and watch Shaky Grounds, and we're going to come back and speak with Helen a little bit more, and then I'm sure Helen hasn't got a lot of time because she's probably your days are probably big like mine. But
Thank
we're
you.
so grateful that you're able to join us. So here we go. Let's watch this Shaky Ground here on Indie Rock Radio. Indie Scene with John taking the helm for Bling. Hello.
I met you on a summer day. The sun was out, the world was still. Your smile filled up my heart, and we were those fulfilled. But now, lying underneath the tree, hidden in the backyard, therein lies a shaky spot. Do I dare remember? Morning rises with the thoughts so long extinguished. Do we look for what we find, or what lies within us? Shaky ground takes me where I'm longing. And home without reason. No one knows the reason why we're fighting. Passion leads us on shaky ground. Oh. Chasing flowers down the street, avoiding all the neighbors. My hands are shaking in the heat, but what lies between us? Laughing in the midnight air, warms up the temper. Shivering, I linger still. Do I dare remember? Shaky ground takes me where I'm longing. And home without a reason. No one knows the reason why we're fighting. Passion leads us on shaky ground. Stay with me tonight in the shadow room. But you look out the door. You can't take this life. Driving in the afternoon, my mind starts to wander. Passing a familiar spot, time drawn me under. Still I take a closer look, the daylight behind me. Funny how familiar spots take on a new meaning. Shaky ground takes me where I'm longing. And home without a reason. No one knows the reason why we're fighting. Passion leads us on shaky ground. Shaky ground. Oh.
So there we have had Shaky Ground by Helen, our guest today being Helen Count, and we're like to thank you once again very much for being with us today. And if you like what you hear, go and listen. We kind of had a glitch at the beginning. The song that I wanted to end off with tonight is Some Healing. We will get to that beautiful video later. That was when I heard that song too, and I said, "Oh man, that kind of is a beautiful song, and it's basically what we some people need is that healing."
Right.
you describe it so well of how we basically can get that healing, you know.
Right.
And when you were like talking about families divided, and sometimes it's the healing, and it's true, you know, because I had a sister that was tough as nails. She was. I had a. I went. She's passed on. I think it's 5 years now. She's passed away. But I tell you, during me being the baby and her being the second oldest, you know, she was a very needy sister, always wanting you to be on her beck and call, basically, you know. And
Right.
like I would say, I would put the band-aid on and to cover the wound and start the healing process. And just when you think that things were going great, she would rip that band-aid off and
Mm,
start putting me down and saying things that weren't very nice. And then I put the band-aid back on, but there's only so many times you can put that band-aid on and let that wound heal.
right. Right.
And
Right. I tried to think, well, I didn't really go in my space expecting to write a pandemic song. I don't think anybody really does, but I thought, what can I write about that we have in common? Because there's so much division. It's all about what we don't have, what, this person has, that person doesn't have. And I thought, well, we all need healing in whatever way, whether someone's sick physically, emotionally, whether someone's just simply tired of the pandemic. There's any level of it, obviously, some more than others. And so I think that really, and then I wrote the song in probably under an hour. So it's just once I had that idea, I thought, wow, that was it. So and then when Shaky Ground, I finished up that, I thought, well, it's relevant, and I think those the types of relevant messages can be that much more meaningful to me and hopefully to people who listen to it.
that's what it's all about, is people listening to it.
Right.
And by you listening to it, you basically are in a way saying, hey, I support I support and understand what this person is saying, what this person is going through. And it kind of the way I always look at it is you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person that is presenting themselves in a song, whether it be in a song, whether it be in a poem, whether it be just listening. We can't judge. We basically have to put ourselves in those shoes and say, look, if you're not happy, maybe listen to me a bit and see what I have to say, and then you can judge me. But unless we know what that person actually is going through at that time, there's nothing we can do. And I know, like
Right.
I don't know what you're going through. You don't know what I'm going through. But if you write something that relates to both of us, then we
Hmm.
kind of say, hey, I can take that part of that song and say, yes, I'm on that shaky ground just like she is. I need that healing just like the next person needs.
Right.
Because we all basically we suffer in different ways. We all don't suffer the same. Like you may be going through a migraine headache or an upset stomach, and I may be going through a wounded knee or a wounded finger.
Right.
It's not the same pain, so we have to be open to everything, and that's where I look at it. We have to see the full picture, not half the picture.
I think that's a great message. I mean, I couldn't have said it better.
Because you know yourself, you've been through, like you said, I'm dying. To tell you the truth, I'm dying to hear the next single.
I'm
And
excited. I'm excited. I won't give away the title, but I'm excited for the title in particular. So that's exciting, right?
well, yeah, the title is everything that we look for in this world today.
True.
We live for what we write, and if we don't write, then if we're writing just because we have nothing better to do, that's not good. We
That's
have to
very.
be writing for ourselves. We have to be writing for the world.
Hmm. Exactly.
Right.
Well,
Because the
I
world is,
appreciate your. greatly, and I'll share it when it's done.
Yes, you share it with us, and we will definitely promote us. Could you just let the viewers know where they can find you if they're
Sure.
looking for you?
Sure, sure. Well, the all my songs are on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora. They're on. You can get them on my website, helencounts.com. Um, and certainly, your station is playing the songs which I appreciate very much, and YouTube, of course, if people don't have streaming platforms. So you try to get it out there so it can reach people no matter where they are.
Yeah, and we like to thank Helen Counts for being with us, and it was great to be able to speak with you this night. We are going to end off with a song by Helen. As we let Helen go, because she's got other things to do, we will be playing her song "Some Healing." If you like it, go and basically like us on Facebook. At our facebook.com is indierockradio.ca. You can find out. We will put up a link to this interview, and we'll put up a link to a couple of the songs that Helen has brought out, like "Shaky Ground" for sure, and we'll put "Some Healing" up there. And we look forward to meeting with you again once that's ready to go. If you don't mind, how about you send us before you're ready to release it, you could send us
Okay.
a notice about it, and we could set up an interview to drop the single right here on Indie Rock Radio for you.
Oh,
Let
that
the
would be.
world know that
Mhm.
there's somebody out there who is listening.
Well, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you very much, and you have yourself a great evening.
You too. Bye bye.
Okay. Well, here we go. We're going to listen now to another song by Helen Counts. We're going to listen to the song "Some Healing." Just remember, you're listening to Indie Scene with John, as Bling and Junior are not available this week. So, as you listen to this song, we hope you will continue to listen to the great music that Helen has brought to us. And here we go with "Some Healing."
I think first and foremost we have to concede that we're dealing with gigantic. I met you on a summer day. The sun was out, the world was still. Your smile filled up my heart, and we went always fulfilled. But now the world is heavy, and its weight is hard to bear. But silence can be misleading, and all I want to do is scream. So stay with me now, don't leave me alone. Finish at the end of the night. I need some healing, and we have all been in the fight of our
to grit and held on so tight. When did neighbors become foes? Families divide. When did violence overrun? We too chaos. So I'll stand with you now. I won't leave you alone. I'll reach out my hands as you need some healing. I don't mind asking for help sometimes. I can be wrong, but I'll try to make it right. You take the upper hand with rational thought. Can the masses become one if there is no other choice? And we look at our children in their eyes and souls. We must help and empathize and listen, and stay with them now. Don't leave them alone. Reach out our hands and they need some healing. Some healing.
So there we had the song Some Healing by Helen Count. So I will just say that we are very, very happy to have had Helen with us tonight. I'm looking forward to the new stuff that will be coming out from her. So if you would like to hear more, go to Facebook and look for her, and we will be more than happy to let you know that she will be joining us very, very soon. She says she hopes to open up a second single, which will be for us, but a fourth for her. So we just heard two beautiful songs from her. We heard the song Shaky Ground as well as the song Some Healing. As you know, that in the past couple of weeks, we've had some kind of fun shows. Some fun but crazy shows, you could say. If for you want a recap of last week we had Playhouse with Darren Walsh, and as Junior will tell you, it was the Headbanger show. I'm still getting in trouble for that. About the Headbanger show. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to unmute yourself because you are muted. I don't know why you're muted, but you are. Junior, I think you're muted. You have to unmute. Let me see what is going on. Yeah, I think you're muted, Junior, because we can't hear you. And I don't know how to unmute everybody, so. There's usually the mute button at the bottom. There is add to screen. How come it's not unmuting? Yes. Okay, while we get this technical difficulties worked out, we are going to play another video for you. Just to let you know, I am putting in a disclaimer with this beautiful video of ours, so I don't get into any trouble with my viewers that are watching live here on Indie Sing. Just to let you know, we are putting in a video here that may offend some, so if you don't like what you're watching, please just turn it off, okay? This is a song by Playhouse. This is one of the first songs that I've come to know by them. Here we go with Turn It Up Louder. Oh. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So as I said, we are going to see a video right now, but I tell you, if you don't like what you see, please just turn it off, okay? This is a song by Playhouse, somebody we had on last week. Here we go with Turn It Up Louder. So don't get offended, okay? Well, there you have it, folks. You have the song by Playhouse. One of the songs that they did, one of their, as I would say, it's one of their well-known ones, as well as if you go up and look at them, and you could always check out our Facebook page where we usually have up and running the interview that took place with Bling and Playhouse, as well as Bling and Darren Walsh. And what a great thing has happened to them, as some of you may not know if you haven't seen the interview. It took a long time for these guys to get signed, but they are officially now signed with RFL Records. So we thank Helen for being here for the first part of the show, as she was here, and we had a very good interview, and we look forward to seeing some stuff from her in the future. Just to let you know, probably the end of July, beginning of August, we will have her new single. She said she goes in the interview to explain to us that it's a 6 to 8 week wait just to get into the studio before the recording starts, and then of course everything else fits into place. But she is guaranteed to send us an email and the single a couple of weeks before it officially drops, and we are going to show our support to her, and we are going to drop her single here on Indie Rock Radio.
Yeah.
Well, her next single is going to be dropped here because that's what it's all about. It's all about promoting the indie artists. Like I said to her, and I'll say to all our viewers that are listening, and I hope you're listening good and loud. If not, turn on your ears as loud as you can. Instead of you paying for these big time money makers and supporting them with their extravagant prices, but if you got the money, like you're a millionaire or something, go and buy a $10,000 ticket so you can have a 5-minute meet and greet and get to see their beautiful stage, and maybe sit beside their drum set and stand at their mic stand, whatever, go and pay it. I don't care. But to me,
You know what's different about an artist like that too, John? You know what is different is they're hungrier. So that's why that they definitely they're hungrier, and they'll play pretty much till they almost will drop. So, and it's very refreshing on the ears, new music, isn't it?
So if you want to pay $500 and see a show where it's going to blow your ears off and help them have a better life, as we could say, go ahead. But I say from the bottom of my heart goes out to people like Playhouse, like Helen Count, like people like MGM, to all the indie artists. They're
Yes.
charging you anywhere between $5 and $18 to get in. And I tell you, you know what? Just like Playhouse says, you'll have one hell of a good time at an indie show rather than some big rock and roll festival where you won't get trampled on at an indie show. You don't have 20, 30,000 people showing up, but if you have 200-300, it makes you. So let's support our local bands. Let's support our indie rock people. And
A lot of the smaller venues need it right now too, John, in regards
Yeah.
to that too. So the three, but 200 and 300 seaters there, and whatnot too. So, but yeah. So, by the way, how are you? I'm sorry I'm late there, but I have my day job.
Good. Next week we have an interview with Legally Blind, but we may have to push it back a few weeks. We're just gonna work out credentials with the band, unless Junior can speak enough French to help these guys. They sing in English, but they're a French indie band.
I see.
And Bling says he can't speak enough French to go on with an interview. So we may have to push it back a couple weeks so we can find. I probably could do it. I may just take a wing at it and wing it out, even if it's only a 15-20 minute interview, it doesn't matter, just to get them recognized.
Yes.
We got a good lineup. We got a good set of lineups coming up for the month of May, starting off with Legally Blind, and after that we have After the Lounge, which is basically the 12th. The 19th, we should have been Plumbers.
I like the name.
It's a nice little band that's very, very good, well done. Then on the 26th of May, to end off the month, we have MGM, which is Michael James. I can't remember his last name, but he sent us a couple of well-known songs, so we have them running. And then in June we have a band called Empires. So we're
All right.
gonna the charts, the the weeks are filling. They're starting to build as we go along. But you know, it's these are all independent artists that need to be recognized, and it's nice because they feel it, and you'll see, especially when this re-airs on Sunday, you'll see just the love that this Helen has for people like us who support her.
Hmm.
And she reached out to us. We didn't reach out to her. She reached out to us. I took a listen to her song. I listened to her song 3 times before emailing her because I said, "Man, this this lady has. She's not afraid to speak about what's on her mind." And shaky grounds, basically, you put two and two together. You know what it's talking about. Talking about what the world in which we're living now with the pandemic and how we've had to basically change our lives. And some healing is, which is another song that she wrote, is basically about the healing process that we have to go through, and we do. We're all living in this world together with this mess. So let us all stick together and do what we need to do, and we basically get through it. It's just like now that like Junior just said, it's just now that the venues are starting to reopen and to accept people in. It's been a long, shaky road for a lot of them. Some of them probably will never reopen. We don't know. You know.
Some of the other side of it, though, first off, the Canadian artists I've always supported so wholeheartedly. So there are those that we do have to help to a little bit of a degree to keep them going for the fans that are out there, signed or not. It's not that I'm changing my mind or our mind in regards to what you're talking about, but they need us as well. So it's all about that. The examples would be the Lee Aarons, the Killer Dwarfs. I'm working on Pat Travers right now while we have him coming to Rockpile. I did some shows. So people like that, they're in a different category than what you're referring to, John. You know what I'm talking about, as opposed to the superstars. So these people need us as well. So this is why we're going to continue to support all of them. And I can't get over, and I keep kind of just going on and on, but the more and more of these unknown artists that we're finding, John, the talent, it doesn't blow me away. And it does. Here's what I'm saying, all right? Because both we're talking, of course, on video and those that are listening in on Sunday. But here's what I'm saying. I got back in the industry, John, if I didn't mention this to you, in 2010 by a fluke and people that wanted me back in. Here's what I'm getting at. So I'm now traveling from literally for shows from Prince Edward Island to pretty much Vancouver. Through the travels, to keep it kind of short, and let's go with the major cities and different bands and whatnot, seeing and hearing the talent along the way at the different venues, not just the big shows or the bigger show that I have been doing at the time, but anyway, so the other smaller venues, the talent out there is just incredible. That's why I've mentioned that, whether it was last week or the week before or whatever, that I decided to get on board and be part of this team because we have to try our best to get the exposure out there for them and do our job. And it's not even a job, it's a pleasure to do. Don't you find that? I can tell by the look on your face and the response at shows and whatnot, John. So this is great.
It's no, when you go to an indie show or a group that's playing a smaller venue, you feel more love because people bond better. You know, people bond as one. You go to a show where there's 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 230,000 saying, I remember the last time I saw Arcade Fire. I went with friends of mine, so we were together. There was 55,000 people at that show here in Montreal.
Yes.
How am I going to know what the guy next door is thinking? It's too big a crowd to mingle and bond.
Yeah.
And we don't, not saying that it's Arcade Fire's fault, a lot of it is they're signed now. They're signed to a big label. They have big managers. They're being run.
Yes.
They're being told you do this at this time. And you go to the bathroom.
It's funny you say that because I get the opportunity a little bit of both, meaning the bigger stage and the one on the level just below that. It's my choice, and thank you to all the lovely, and I call them family at the Rock Pile. This is why I talk about them so much, John, because it is this atmosphere, and you, sir, and Bling are going to experience that when you come, and you'll see what I mean. The treatment there, I've only seen one incident, and it's only because the individual was drunk.
Okay.
They treat you, and not only that, that the stage is right there. They're not either on a big giant screen. It's so presentable. So that side of things definitely is my favorite side of it all.
Well, because we're not out there to. Not nice to say we're not out. We want to be in an intimate setting.
Yeah, you can when you can really feel the atmosphere and all that. So, but and it's a nice choice. And some get kind of claustrophobic with the big crowds too. So maybe it could be some of that too. It can be that way. I had that. Remember, I rushed 34 times, but one time at a show at Maple Leaf Gardens, maybe it was the weed. I don't know, but I was having kind of a moment of I was on the floors, and it was just got to me too much. So I understand that. I don't know how the people do mosh pits. I never have. Have you?
I did a mosh pit at when I last time I went to see. It was Anthrax. I went
Wow.
quite a while ago. It's quite a while ago anyway. It was Anthrax, and opening up for them, they had two bands. They had Rob Zombie, who you know you can get people going, and that's the main. I think main. In fact, I think it was Pantera, and Rob.
That would
Zombie.
make sense. That would make sense.
Yeah, they played together. In fact, I think Pantera was a headliner. Headliners were both Anthrax and Pantera because they played about the same amount of time, same amount of songs. But Rob Zombie opened up for him, but it wasn't even then. It was at that time. It was called White Zombie because it was.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people don't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw White Zombie, and Rob Zombie got a little ticked off at me. Like, I don't know if he got ticked off or if he just was just being a jerk. Like some people say, he can be a jerk when he wants to be a jerk, you know. And it's not my
Sometimes just
fault.
shit happens. That's all.
You know, I was young, and when I saw the show, and it's not my fault that he's got a basis that's a female. Is it my fault? You know, it's not my fault. And she is good looking. She is a pretty good looking female, you know.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her, and he just picked up a pitcher of water, and he came over to me, and he poured it over my head. He said, "Now that'll cool you off."
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't feel so bad then in a sense. Well, I do. Again, and it's not a brag thing, but I've done lots of stages in doing my part.
Yeah.
But I won't say the band, but anyway, I did have a guy come up to me and he was upset because I brushed against his guitars. Now, he didn't fall. I brushed up against his guitars.
Okay.
So, you know what? Since then, I don't talk to the band, nor do I promote the band because of, I mean, give me a fucking break. I'm not some drunken idiot on stage, so give me a break. I should say the name of the band, but I won't.
No, but that's not good to have that feeling where, you know, you did something in, as we could say, it was done by error. You know?
That's fair.
And they went ahead and took it the wrong way. And to me, you know what? When it comes down to the fine line of who was the ass, it was
Yes.
them. It was them.
Yeah,
Because
there.
instead of taking it in a loving way and showing, oh, let's kind of show that we have a great love for this group. We're gonna make it look like we're better. Well, that's not the way things work. You know, if you want,
I agree.
two wrongs don't make a right, and that's not what we're out there to make, is make wrong
Yeah.
or right or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, they could have been more understanding and say, "Oh, I know it was an accident. How's it going?" You know, like make it loving, not thinking you're trying to be a big shot. And you weren't. You brushed against a guitar by error. It's not like you
Yes.
were trying to steal the thing and put it in your backpack and you put it in your
Well,
backpack and go home with it. You pretty much get caught, wouldn't you? You got this big thing sticking out of your bag.
and it wasn't even enough to even knock them out of tune or anything, that kind of thing. It was just kind of, yeah, yeah. And the shame is more than anything is them not getting what the boost and the things that I've done for this particular band in the past. And I'm sure that they are questioning why they haven't heard from Junior Leclerc, but that's entirely up to them.
And they will pay for it because they'll look back in years from now and say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done what I did because I caused bad blood, and it's too late. I can't make up the bad blood because the wound basically." It's like I was saying to Helen. I had a sister in my family that was a real winner. She was the second oldest in the family, and no matter how many times I put a band-aid on the bruise and repaired the bruise, she peeled it off and was
Right.
always a very hard sister to live with. She's resting in peace now because she did pass on, you know. And yes, we were talking. We were in pretty good communications when she passed away. So I'm not too worried about that, you know. But the amount of times I put band-aids to heal the wound, and
Yeah.
she'd just rip it off and be nasty. And hopefully she realized, you know, that
Well, it sounds like it.
it's not always about me. It's about everybody. She was always about herself. Me. Oh pity. Oh
Yeah.
woe. Oh, if you had something and she wanted it, she wanted you to just give it over.
So that, with that said and done, you know, because everybody kind of has this. Were you considered what they would call the black sheep in your family at one
By,
time? Now, at one time.
yeah, by her, yes. By
Okay.
the rest of the family, I had another sister who was older. My older sister, in fact, she's still living. She just turned 82.
Wow.
And she told me she was her and my brothers, basically the only one that's left right now in the family is my older sister and me, the baby. So everybody in between is gone, you know. But even my brothers told me they were pleased with the road I took and where, because I got the highest education of them all. Because I
Right.
went to college, I went to university, I graduated from high school. They didn't get that option, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
And they, at one time, like my sister had asked, "Oh, so who paid for your schooling?" And that, I said, "My schooling, so for my college, I worked at McDonald's to put myself through college. I worked at Coca-Cola and Consumers Glass to put myself through Concordia. I worked to put myself through McGill. I worked
Right.
at Sellers. I worked to put myself through the education that I received."
That's why sometimes also is the shame, John, is when they. I was talking about this today, actually. When they don't know, and yet they were still, and gosh, you hear this word a lot, but they still lay judgment. Isn't that? It's awful when that goes on, when people want to do that. I chose a long time ago. I think it's like the Rush song, "One must put up barriers to keep oneself intact." I think
Yeah,
that's a great line.
and that's the way it is. You know,
Yeah.
as we
Well, here's
talked.
what I say. Remember, all my family live in PEI, and honest, John, I love them to the end of the planet. But listen to this line: I love them over there.
Yeah, yeah, it's not so good here. So we are going to turn over to another video now. Yes, this is a video by Michael James,
All
MJM,
right.
as we call him. Like I said, on the 26th of May, he will be in the studios doing a beautiful interview with Bling and Junior, and he is out of Toronto. In fact, it was Junior that referred him to us.
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes, it
the
is.
one. Yeah, that's the one that sent us the video, and it was. You can tell him if you speak to him before the 26th of May when he does his interview.
I get so many sent to me there. So yeah, I kind of screen
He
them and send
really,
them your way,
yeah,
and do
he
tell them to
really,
direct, and
really,
he did it
really.
properly. So that's great.
Yeah, it was hard to choose which one to play because he
Is
sent us
that right?
treasure. He sent us
Yeah.
treasure, And then he sent me 4 other ones this week, and I'm still debating. I'm thinking maybe I'll put all 5 on.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna actually give him shit if he's not listening in, type deal, because I got to listen to those prior to them being sent, so I'm gonna give him shit and all that. But sometimes the guys are busy, and of course I'm just kidding. So yeah, let's check that video out. Should be
Yeah,
cool.
this is a video
No, the
for
one that was
Treasure
free.
by MJM. It's a great, great song.
All right.
So let's sit back and listen to this great song. Here we go with MGM. Like I said, they'll be in the studios here on the 26th of May. So tune on in and listen to this great song. Here we go with Treasure by MJM. So there you have it, folks. You have MGM, who will be in the studios with us on the 26th of May with their song Treasure. I don't know what you thought yourself.
There you are.
Song, listening to that song, I don't know what you thought of it yourself, but who that vocalist kind of sounds like.
Who do you what comes to your mind? Who comes to your mind when you say that?
Ace Frehley.
Funny, eh?
Ace Frehley of Kiss.
Yeah.
He's my favorite guitarist, and for all of you out there, kind of not. I consider him an indie Ace Frehley now because he's basically on his own label, Ace in the Hole. So we can mention this, Ace. You're 72 years old. You're still rocking the airwaves out there because for some of us, you got some great tunes still out there. But
I just saw a couple of videos of Ace. Was it yesterday? Yeah, he's looking pretty good and doing not bad.
Yeah, don't fall.
I can only hope.
Yeah, it's all a trap coming up, Ace. Don't fall. Don't bite the bullet. Stay where you are. Gene Simmons has invited you back to the original, to the End of the Road tour, to do encore songs. No, stay away.
Yeah.
It's all a fun thing. Everybody's wish, yes, is to see the original lineup back together. Because the End of the Road tour is not the End of the Road tour if it hasn't got the original four.
I agree. You know what? I did go to the so-called end of 2019.
No, the farewell tour.
Yeah, the one of them. Anyway, the point being is, I will be honest. Okay, mind me, I'm just adjusting. I had to use my phone because, as you know, I was late. I've been at work or whatever. But anyway, so we discussed before about concerts. Yes, I've been to hundreds and hundreds, and yet through the years, I had not seen Kiss. So opportunity came my way, and I will say this. It was one hell of a show. Now, I don't want to take away from the players that are with them and replacing. We know all the friggin' stories. I don't want to a degree, about Ace and that and Peter Criss with regards to drugs. And look, they've all been there. But I can't help but say and agree with you. It just seemed like it wasn't the same.
No.
Just in that aspect. The show was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not going to somewhat take away. It was it was a circus effect. I've never seen more fucking confetti in all my life, John. But yet, as I say, when you kind of look, and I look at all the pictures that I have and video, there's something, I can't help but agree with you. There's something about them not being there that just is not it.
Yeah,
so
the pyrotechnics is the whole show, the fireworks going off.
I don't know how we'll fix it.
We will definitely.
So, but yeah, it's gotten to be a bit much, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, like we said, next week we have Legally Blind, and if worst comes to worst, because they don't speak enough English or they can't answer the question in English, we will just basically, I will do my best to do the interview in French. I'm sure it's not hard to ask a few questions about what you're doing, where you're going, where you've been, what your next single. It's not so hard to do it. Basically, find out how they can be promoted. They will be promoted on our station. At first, Bling wanted to can it. I said no. Because, we have to support whether they speak only Chinese. We have to support indie to the end.
Well, I think, you know what, it's funny you say that, but Ed Sullivan comes to my mind, that he'd have some people on there that could not speak English, but you know what? Isn't music the international language anyway?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, John, the group either A, has somebody that speaks a little bit of English, or they have somebody there that can assist in. So it's a possibility as well, right?
Well, that's it. So we are going to sign off for now, as you could say. I know it's a little bit earlier, but we are going to sign off now with that band. That will definitely be on our show next week, Legally Blind. Like like Junior has says, my my dream is one day that we'll have on the show Lee Aaron, or Aaron Lee as she now goes by. I don't know why she's done that, but I guess it's just a little bit of
Yeah.
I don't know. She just did it for a reason, and we'll have to ask her that question. Why did she change her name now to Aaron Lee?
It's probably a legal thing because her real name is Karen.
Yeah, that's it. So you know.
So it could have been a contract thing to something like that because that's because that's what ends up happening. So yeah, that'd be a perfect question there, or whatever. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And like I say, Pat Travers and the other makeup ones there too, because it's been kind of a funny season the last few months for me personally. And that I'm plus I apologize that today I was late because I had to move some yachts around. But anyway, there's Mitch Perry, Cher's guitar player. He wants to get on, so we're going to have him on sometime, as well as a few others that we got to get on. So yeah, definitely. Oh, we got to make sure we'll take a half hour sometime only in your time frame. Let me know either obviously off air. We got to get. I want to get Steve Hogue from the Rock Pile on as well before we get into heavy season.
We could even do that. Maybe do that next week because Legally Blind, I think it's only a 20-minute interview.
Okay, I'll check with him on that. Yeah, and Jim Crean. Okay, yeah, definitely. Some of them, that's what it is. And it's nice to say that, John. What I'm getting at is they only have got a half an hour. It's because of the time frame. You see, when I go to my shows, and you know about this, but what I do in most cases, I'm going down there at sound check to find out what my role is and so on. Because what can change in the bigger name bands is the stage manager has talked to the artist and they decided that for whatever reason they are not allowing interviewers, they are not allowing whatever, this type of thing. So get there early and then you're not caught off guard. So definitely we'll get them on, and so that you're used to the half hour, so that'll be good.
Well, that's it. So we will sign off this week with a video by Legally Blind. Here we go with Posters on My Wall. Tune in next
Catch
week.
you next week on Indie the Scene with Bling and Junior, and our special guest sitting in doing a rocking job tonight, Mr. John Blackwood.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, as you rough couple of weeks. You know, this is going on the second full week, really the third, since my friend left us, and basically we will let's put it this way, next week when we come to this show, I will have had attended on a Thursday, I would have had attended the viewing, the service, and the burial by the time the show kicks in. So.
Yes, and my condolences on that as well, because I've been dealing with it, so it's been a challenge. So yeah, sometimes, John, there's that sentence, you know what, even in what we're doing with our show and the technical side and the human side, here's my sentence, my friend. How dare us be human?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and one of my favorite sayings to people, or favorite things to say to people, is, like I said to Helen tonight, the best therapy that helps us through everything, you can't buy it. You will never have to buy it, because music is the best therapy. It helps you through everything. It calms you. It makes you feel good. It brings you out of that deep, distraught feeling. So here we go.
All my life. It's why I'm still alive, I think. Okay, so we'll sign off early, folks. We want to thank John for sitting in tonight. And next week, we're going to have some more fun, and everything should go a little bit smoother too, whatever. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I apologize for being late.
And here we go with Legally Blind and Posters on My Wall.
Always again after you. I wish I could be you, but I'll always be too small. Every sunrise, there is many times. In my soul, there won't be my time. I want you to be someone, yet I still every chance. I see you on my wall, always again after you. I wish I could be you, but what if I could? Every sunrise, there is many times. In my soul, there won't be my time. I want you to be someone, and I know what I'll do.
Well, there you have it, folks. You have the song by Legally. You have the song by Legally Blind. Yes, posters on my wall. Tune in next week at 6 o'clock with Bling and Junior as they will be interviewing them. And like I said, if there's a little bit of complications due to the language barrier thing, like if they really can't do this interview in English, I will step in and do the interview in French with Legally Blind. Until next week, we wish you all the best. Please stay safe and do all you can to enjoy yourself the best you can. And don't forget, if you want to re-listen to this, we will be re-airing this on Sunday. And there were some technical difficulties at the beginning, but until next week, bye. Have a great, great week. Have a great weekend, and do all you can to stay safe. And listen closely to the great songs that we have each and every day on indierockradio.ca, like Helen Count, who we interviewed tonight, Legally Blind, MJM, some of the great After the Lounge, just some of the great, great, great indie bands that we support here on our station each and every day. Bye.